Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. And hi, Meg. Thank you for
Okay.
joining us here again this week. So, this week we're going to be focusing on our recovery in action course that's going to be starting in a couple of weeks
Yeah, November
now.
the 9th.
November the 9th. Thanks, Meg. A lot of people have asked questions about it and wanted to find out more information. So we thought we'd take this opportunity on this podcast to just explain things a bit more detail, and hopefully answer any questions people have. There is a little bit more time to join if you are interested. And we are currently doing one-to-ones with people that are joining, which is so lovely just to meet them, find out what's going on for them, what their hopes are for the course, any concerns or worries they have. So we're taking that into account. We really want it to be a really powerful and special experience for everybody who joins. So, yeah, knowing who is joining is really, really important to us. So, yeah, so hopefully, if you're considering it, this podcast will see if it's the right thing for you right now.
Mm. Yeah, I love the one-to-ones. It's so nice to just meet the people and know who you're talking to because we have cameras off during each of the sessions. So it's like microphones are muted, the chat's disabled, and cameras are off because we just want it to be a really like non-comparative, safe kind of space where it just feels like it's us and you. But then at the same time, it's really nice for us to get to meet people. So we've like seen you, spoken to you, and also when we're speaking, we can keep in mind like what are your goals, what are your behaviors that you're working on so that we can try and make it as kind of like personalized as and tailored as possible.
Absolutely, because that is what coaching is about. Like, as I think even Mia was talking on the last podcast about the fact that coaching is not this cookie cutter approach. And even this course is not going to be a cookie cutter approach. As we're going to be like tailoring it to the people that we're working with. So we've already, yeah, like Meg said, we've already met so many people and they're just incredible, absolutely incredible people who are joining, super inspiring and really excited, super excited to support them and hopefully like give them that like recovery booster to keep keep that momentum going for them.
Yeah, agree. And I get all the questions as well because it's hard to picture what something is actually like. Like, what are you signing up for? And especially in recovery, it's a bit daunting, isn't it? And if something's called a group, like that can feel very, oh, am I going to be in a space with other people and hearing about their behaviors? Or, I totally get that, like, I would have had a bit of an aversion to anything labeled a group as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that's the thing is because we've been there and we know like what wouldn't have worked, what would have triggered us, what would have made everything actually coming out of the experience worse. We're almost on the other side, like extra careful because we just would honestly, it would destroy us if that would ever to happen to anybody. So yeah, so hopefully this will make you feel reassured
Yeah,
if
definitely.
that was one of your worries.
Yeah, definitely. And exactly what you're saying there. Like, I think we've built it a lot on the back of our own experiences and what would have helped us. And certainly, like, the game changer in my recovery felt like when I was taught how to make action. Is that the
Mm.
right word? Is
Maybe,
that
maybe take
take
action.
action? Take action.
So close.
I'm making actions. Anyway,
Anyway, swiftly
brain.
moving on.
Yeah, but that was so game changing for me because I'd had treatment where I'd like talked a lot or I had worked a lot on
Mm.
motivation. But then when I kind of got into the kitchen, I had that experience of it all just went out the window. And it almost didn't matter how much I wanted it sometimes. When I was on the spot, I just couldn't convert it into action. It felt so wrong in that moment. Like, honestly, it felt like I was stepping in front of a bus, like, or people were trying to tell me, like, look, the sky is green, trust us. And I was like, why would I trust that when I can clearly see the sky is blue? Why would I step in front of a bus? It just felt so viscerally wrong. But my our treatment, where we both saw the same psychologist, Corrine, helped me so much with like, how are you actually making changes? Because if you don't make a change, nothing changes. So she worked on like, what do you want to change first? Like, set goals around it. And then how do you actually do it? How do you follow through with it? And then how do you sit with the discomfort as well and not then compensate or undo it? Because then you've just negated whatever change you did make, or you've created a new rule for yourself of like, okay, you are now allowed to do this, but only if you do this. And then you live in a really complicated, like, formula existence of balancing and, stressful. Yes, I feel like I don't know if you had that experience as well, but I feel like that's kind of what we've tried to bring to the course is the like, okay, you're in the moments where you're trying to make the change, like the moments that
Yeah.
really, really count. What is it that you're doing? How are you building your own toolbox of
Hmm.
things like, okay, this is practice. I know this works for me, or yeah, like practicing different tools to find what
Hmm.
works for you to help you to make those changes that are going to actually matter. So, like when that next Christmas comes around, or the next birthday comes around, or the year ends, that you're not like, still nothing has changed. Like, I know I want to do something different, but I still haven't been able to do it, kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh God, that was absolutely me. I think that a lot of people who have an eating disorder, either through therapy or because they're generally very reflective people, most people have a really good awareness of why they have an eating disorder. You're like, right, okay, this happened to me, or this part of my personality, or this part of my genetics. And it's like, okay, cool, I'm aware of it, but I'm still not able to do anything about it.
Totally.
Like sometimes
Yeah.
awareness isn't enough.
Yeah,
Sometimes you
definitely.
need a bit more. And I felt like everybody would talk about these tools. Use this tool, use that tool, use your recovery tools. And I was like, what is this recovery tools? And until I started with Kareen, and I was like, oh, that is one of my tools that I can use. This is something, your videos were great as well, and Mia's really practical. But I think that you need those kind of things to draw on in the moment of like, oh, that's a tool that I heard I practiced in something like a course that I can now actually apply in the moment.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Well, like to be honest, I felt like these videos were just giving forward what I'd learned kind of thing. Like it was so mind-blowing to me and so life-changing that I was just like, oh my God, I really want to share this. And I feel like the course
Yeah.
is that too. Like us, like it was so life-changing for us what we were able to learn and practice and build up in our own toolbox that
Yes.
yeah, we've kind of like compiled that with our coaching training and yeah, and even still, like it's so personalized. Like it's all about you. Like pick up what works for you, practice it, adapt it as well. Because some of the tools I would use like didn't quite work, and then I found like a way to tweak it or something, or put
Hmm.
like a new suggestion, and then it would suddenly click into place, and I'd be like, oh, that now makes sense to me. That now works for me.
Absolutely. And that's definitely something we found because we have run this course before, is that each of the participants, they found certain tools more helpful than others because we are all different and different things are going to help certain people more than others. So that's why this course is not a case of like, use this tool. This is the one that has to work for you. We're actually giving you a lot of different tools paced at a really good way. So you've got a chance to practice them so that you can build up your toolkit with the ones that help and leave the ones that don't, because there's enough of them to be able to choose and leave.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why like it's good that it's over the month because we can like present a couple of tools. So we start the week on a Sunday and we present a couple of tools. And then you kind of go away and practice them working towards a goal. And then we meet again on Thursdays for Q&A. Again, it's all mics off and cameras off, mics muted. You submit your questions in advance. So if you're having questions about the tools, then we can address those, or just general recovery questions as well. Some of the questions we got last time were just like an ask me anything kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And it
And
was helpful to everybody. So that was great.
yeah. And then also we'll do a check-in in the week with you to give that really personalized element. So you can send us an email where you can say like what you're working on, how you found it, and if you've come up against something like I tried the tool, but then I had this thought, and so it was a real block for me, or I became paralyzed, or my temptation to compensate, something like that. So that element of like, how is it working for you in your recovery against your goals and your stage and your situation, your everything? Like this is all about you and where you're at. And how can we get it to work best for you? So we're hoping we can kind of bring an element of one-to-one coaching or that element of being personalized, but in a group setting. So it's a bit more like how can we reach more people at once? There is an element of personalization, but also it's kind of presented in this workshop group format.
Exactly. And even we'll support you with the goal setting part because I think that was something that we never anticipated how difficult that would be to our last cohort. So for sure, this time we're definitely going to spend a good amount of time focusing on this as well. You want to achieve so many things, and sometimes it feels like, oh my gosh, where do I even start? So we will be supporting you in choosing the thing that is right for the where you are right now and making it achievable, adapting it if it's a bit hard or you're just smashing it and need to up level it. Like we will be there to support you with all stages of that.
Yeah, that's so true. Because sometimes a goal might be like it will take a long time to work on it, whereas others you might set like one or two goals or a few goals even in a week and manage them. And then also that experience of like you achieve a goal, but then it almost rewrites itself. Like now I can do this, but I can only do it on a Tuesday, or I can only do it at lunchtime, or I can only do it if somebody else is there, or somebody else is not there, or if I'm out, or if I'm in. Like, it so quickly rewrites into this new version. And then you have to be like, okay, now I'm going to challenge it in this new context.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. And it is important to do that. And hopefully, then by the end of the month, because you have challenged it and you've got this greater awareness and all of these tools, you're then going to be able to apply it to your goals going forward. So this is not a case of like, right, you're going to do recovery for a month and then you're going to stop. No, you're going to hopefully leave with all these tools, understanding how goal setting works, and so that you can continue it even afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to have some testimonials later in this episode. We're going to speak to some people who were on our previous course in the previous cohort so they can explain how they found the course or how they've used the stuff moving forward. Do you think, Saf, we could just share some more then about how the actual setup works, like what the sessions look like on a Sunday and a Thursday, what people can
Mhm.
expect from it? Maybe that would be helpful so they can try and picture things better.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So on a Sunday, it literally will be Meg and I going through tools. I think each week we're probably about 3 to 4 tools that we're going through, and you'll have the opportunity to kind of take that in, to practice them. And then we would say that over the first 3 or 4 days of the week, practice using it. Very early on in the course, we'll be explaining goal setting. So you will have a goal. You will say, right, I'm going to challenge this food and I'm going to apply this tool to that goal. And so in those first few days of the week, you challenge it and you try it. And then if any questions come up, anything that feels like a bit of a barrier to using it comes up, you can then message us. And on the Thursday, we will answer all of those questions. And they often can be like grouped into themes. So you're usually not alone in your thoughts. And then we'll go through them until you really do feel confident and happy. It's not a case of like, well, you've just got to deal with it and accept it. We want you to have the best experience and to really feel okay at the end. What was it?
Do you hear that?
No, I didn't.
We've got building work in our house, which if you're watching on YouTube is why I'm sat on the floor in my bedroom. There's a big crash outside.
It's weird how Zoom doesn't pick up much, does it?
Funny, isn't it? Yeah. But anyway, there was no shout, so hopefully we're okay. Yeah, so with the Thursday Q&A, again, it's not live, so people aren't asking questions on the spot. We'll have picked the questions up in the week, and then just kind of share them ourselves, vetted to try and make it, untriggering and what have you. So people can email us their own, like, this is how I found it. This was my goal. What do I need to work on? Like, just for us to help them a little bit. And then they can also send like a question for the group, or I'd love to ask this in the Q&A, and then we'll collate those and bring them to the Thursday session where, I mean, we're answering it live. We're just having a chat live, answering the questions, but we've picked up the questions beforehand.
Yeah, absolutely. And even through the week, we'll be sending little bits and things, whether that's little mantras or extra resources or little videos of like having done the exercises ourselves to like really show you an example of what it would look like in real time to do it.
Yeah.
So I think people found that really helpful.
Yeah. And homework as well. I'd forgotten actually. We set a homework as well on the Sunday to work on throughout the week, alongside the
Yeah.
goal. And even the tools actually don't just need to be used towards goals, like just generally they can be used, right? For like, I'm trying to make decisions, what snack should I have? Something like that. Or I'm trying to stop a behavior, I'm trying to start a behavior, or someone spontaneously offered me food in the office.
Hmm.
It's kind of like the more you practice your tools, the better you're going to be with them, and like the more confident you'll be in using them and find the thing that works for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And as Meg said, like the one of the reasons why we started this course, it really did come from like a passion of ours because it was a course that really we wish we would have had in our recovery. Like we did have an incredible therapist. Not everybody has access to therapy. Not everybody has access to coaching or any support at all. So we just thought this would be like a really nice way to offer all the tools that we learned that really helped us in our recovery and that we continue to use in our coaching practice and reach more people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it would be helpful if we shared like a what when the course how do I say this? Maybe it'd be helpful if we shared like the moments the course will be used in, as in like what's the stage of recovery that it's used for? I don't know if I'm explaining
Mm.
that very well. Do you want me to give an example?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You go. Yeah, but I think I know what you're saying, but I think that'd be great.
It's something that comes up in my sessions a lot with clients is that they say, I know what I want in my life, I know what my goal is, or I know what I'm working towards, but in the moment of making the changes, I can't connect the dots. So I can't understand like how supposedly challenging this food now is going to lead me to where I want to be in 5 years' time. Or even just I can't even connect to wanting it is another thing I hear. Like away from food, I desperately want X. But as soon as I'm in front of food, or as soon as I see my weight, or as soon as I'm triggered by a photo of my body or clothing or whatever, I can't even slightly connect to wanting X. Like almost like two different people. Like, and I've definitely found this as well. Like it's a very bizarre experience thinking I really, really want this thing, but in this moment I can't even want it kind of thing. And then also I've had clients say that they feel really bad about this, like maybe I don't want it badly enough, or other people will even say to them like, well, you can't want it if you're saying right now that you don't want it. Like if this is what you have to do to get it and now you're saying you don't want it, like then you clearly don't want it kind of thing,
You
which is
don't want it enough. You
yeah.
obviously don't want it enough. And it's like, just eat, just do it, just rest. It's like, and I think that is the part that we also bring to this course or our coaching generally is having been there and really getting it and not seeing what you're doing as like trivial at all. And really, if it feels big to you, we know how big that truly is. And it's nothing to do with not wanting something enough. Like, of course, we want these big things in our life. Of course, we want to be the type of person for other people. We don't want them to worry. We want our health. We want all these things. But it's so difficult. That's why it's an eating disorder. That is why it has the outcomes that it does. You know, it impacts people on such a great level. So it's not a case of just choosing. So we really do understand how people are feeling as well.
Definitely. And like, it's completely understandable that in the moment you don't want the things you want. Like, I'd be surprised if people did want them because you're going in with eating disorder brain wiring that is literally wired around do not do that thing. And that's
Mm,
clicked in that moment. So I'd be amazed if someone could have that brain wiring click in and
mm.
still want, you know, or at least be confused by, but I'm thinking this, but I also want this. Like, to me, it's completely understandable.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that we've spoken about with another coaching client is this idea of like an online and offline kind of decision making process that like you can when your brain is online and you have got that perspective and you've got able to zoom out and see things, you're not looking down the straw, as Meg will say, you're able to say like, right, I do want this. I do want recovery. These are the recovery aligned choices. I am going to eat this or I am going to rest in this way, but then when you come to the situation, it's like your stress levels are so ridiculously high, it just turns your brain offline and you just almost go into this like fight or flight situation or
So,
freeze, right? And it does feel like that. You do feel like literally running out of the room or just freezing and like checking out. So it's about like being able to connect to that online decision. And that is part of the course, isn't it? Like work, the work is about giving you tools to use in the moment, but some of the tools you will use outside of the moment to be able to draw inside of the moment.
yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Does
Yeah, and
it?
I see that like that's what the course is aimed at, to be honest, is how to like align your actions so that
Yeah.
you're not acting on, but in the moment I wanted this, or in the moment I felt like this, or my level of discomfort was this, or my stress level today, or my busyness, or whatever. You're
Yeah.
learning how to align your actions to what you ultimately want in life, or even just what you ultimately don't want in life. Like, I just don't want this anymore, you know, and exploring like what actually gives me long-term meaning, long-term happiness, long-term fulfillment in life, you know, and
Mhm.
aligning your actions to that so that it takes you towards that and not aligning your actions to what feels right in the moment because that's just going to maintain the moment. So then it's like the moments add up and then the moments become your life and you're actually
Mm.
just like enforcing your eating disorder brain wiring by acting on it. And then the days turn into weeks, turn into months, turn into years. And then you kind of look back on the time and you're like, oh, I've just had an eating disorder in that time. But that's
Yeah.
because the actions in the moment, the actions in the now, you know, aligned to the eating disorder, so that enforced the eating disorder, and then your result was an eating disorder. So like how
Mhm.
can you separate, almost like separating the short term from the long term, or like separating the now, what I want now to what I ultimately want, and then realigning your actions. Like to me, that's like the task of recovery is like, how do I realign how I'm acting away from what feels compelling in the moment, which is hard, away from what my brain is telling me to do in the moment, and
Mhm.
towards a different version of life, a life I want to live, or even if you don't know what it is, like sometimes you don't really know what you're working towards, or there isn't that big glowing goal, but it can just be, I want something different, or I just don't want to feel cold. I
Mhm.
don't want to feel tired. I want to have energy. I don't want to think about food. I don't want to wake up in the morning and food be my first thought. I want to be spontaneous, flexible, connected, present, like all the
Mhm.
things that are actually invisible to people. Other people don't even need to know these are your goals or be able to see that these are your goals,
Mhm.
but those are massive. Like they seem like to a lay person, to somebody else, it might be like, what? That's
Yeah.
your goal. But it's huge. That's absolutely life changing.
It's huge. It's huge. And sometimes as you're on the recovery journey, more motivations or reasons to recover uncover themselves. So yeah, and like you said, it can be just like maybe you're just curious. What could my recovered life look like? You can't even imagine, like it feels so far-fetched to imagine yourself recovered that you're like, I don't even know how that would look or feel, but like maybe I'm curious about it. Or and through this course, maybe you'll figure out like maybe what does it feel like with a bit more freedom? What does that feel like? Or a bit more motivation or a bit more belief that recovery is possible? Because hopefully that's something we'll give you as well, is that belief like you can recover. We believe everybody can recover, no matter your age, no matter your background, no matter anything. We believe in full recovery. And so hopefully we will give you that bit of confidence to keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the analogy you're showing of the online, offline that your client came up with. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
That is so how it feels. It's just like you've, like she said, you lose Wi-Fi connection. Like you
Yeah.
literally can't connect to it in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. She's somebody who's going to give us one of the testimonials as well, actually. She's super intelligent, amazing person who came up with that analogy. And yeah, it does feel like you're losing that Wi-Fi connection. Everything's gone offline, but connecting to when you did have that Wi-Fi connection, it was working. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's
yeah.
like one of the tools we use, isn't it? Like time hopping, like the ability to zoom
Mhm.
out and look forward and backward in time. Like if I carry on with this behavior moving forward, what life is it going to give me? Or if I make a change, and equally looking back in time, like what am I grateful that I changed in the past and I am where I am now? Or what do I wish I'd changed in the past to be where I am now? Or what did I commit to changing in the past? That kind of thing. Like trying to get out of the moment where you feel just compelled by your eating disorder to keep acting in line with your eating disorder, and that just maintains your eating disorder. Like how can we zoom you out and interrupt the cycle and make a change, like make a different behavior which could lead to somewhere different.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, some of the tools we have mentioned at different points, like time hopping, and it's in the course, we're kind of giving you that bit more with that so that you've got more structure to use it. Like, okay, I'm using time hopping. Okay, like, okay, I'm going to think 5 years time, 5 years ago, but we're going to give you more of a structure so that if you're struggling to actually apply that tool,
Mm.
how to use it, when to use it, in what format, like that's something hopefully we're going to give you. And also to be able to like share that with us is always nice.
Another tool that we use is analogies. And
Mm,
actually, I've spoken to clients recently. I don't think this is even in the workshop. Maybe we could add it. But I've used a couple of analogies with clients recently on this point of like, but when I'm faced with making the change, it all flies out the window or I can't connect to my goals. So, one of the things we've spoken about is like, imagine your phone is electrocuting you. So, every time you pick up your phone, it's giving you an electric shock. And it has
hmm.
done for a year. So like you really know, okay, if I pick that phone up, it's going to give me an electric shock. But then someone says to you like, okay, your family live abroad, something like that. The only way you can speak to them is if you pick that phone up to talk to your family. So you're like, okay, I do want to do that. I really, really want to speak to my family. And when you're away from your phone, you can be like, of course I want to speak to my family. Definitely, I need to pick the phone up so I can speak to my family. And someone says, okay, you're not going to be electrocuted anymore. Pick the phone up and you'll be able to talk to your family. But still, like when you get to that phone, your body is going to kick in it's not even conscious. It's just
Mhm.
like, do not pick up that phone. Like, it's like, it with everything. Your body is like just trying to keep you safe. Your
Right.
brain is trying to keep you safe. And it will just be like, don't pick up that phone. Doesn't mean your values aren't to speak to your family. Like, it's not, it might still be what you desperately want to be able to do. But in that moment, it's like it just takes over that like visceral, don't do it.
Love that. That's such a good one. That is such a good one because it so clearly shows the difference between your values, what you truly care about, but in the moment, how absolutely terrifying it is, and how there is this big wall up to you doing it. And of course, like from your body's point of view, it's trying to keep you safe, alive, not overwhelmed. And that is like those eating disorder thoughts do feel like that. They feel
Yeah.
like you're not going to be able to cope with it, but you absolutely can.
Yeah. It's funny because so the thing that made me think of it is our dishwasher used to electrocute us when you put cutlery into the dishwasher, or if you touch the metal bit, you got an electric shock from it. Yeah. And then when I moved,
But the goal was to have clean dishes, and I sacrificed my health for that. No, I want to hear the rest of this story. God, what a dishwasher. I hope you didn't
there
take
is
this to the
that.
new house.
To be fair, we did put up with the electrocution to be able to clean the dishes. I guess we cared more about the ease of using a dishwasher than, you know, the
That's
little
life.
shock.
That is life for you right now. You're like, I don't care. That is going in the dishwasher. I am not washing that up. Oh, that's so funny.
But
Have you
me,
still got it though?
no, it's at my old family home.
Oh, oh,
And
somebody's still using it.
no, we've moved. So it's
Oh,
the
good.
people who bought the house, sorry, are now getting electrocuted when they use the dishwasher. No, but I noticed when I moved out, I still was
Yeah.
a bit fearful of dishwashers. Like when I went to touch the dishwasher, I was like, oh, it's going to electrocute me. Even though I knew it wasn't, I knew it was a different dishwasher. But it's like Pavlov's dogs. Like I still had like
Yeah.
cognitively or whatever you call it, intellectually, I knew this dishwasher is not going to electrocute me, but my body still had the same response to it.
Reaction. I know
Mm.
what you mean because it's the same as like an escalator. Have you ever had that little like static
Yeah.
electricity thing when you go on an escalator and then you just get don't want to touch it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting, isn't it? Like your brain is incredible, but your brain does what you teach it as well. And so at some point we taught our brains to fear certain foods or fear things around our eating disorder. And now we have to teach it something different. We have to teach it that these foods are safe and actually not only safe, essential for us to live the free, healthy, connected, present life that we want. And so I think sometimes we forget that we got into this eating disorder by teaching our brain one thing. So we need to get out of it by teaching it something else.
100%, honestly. Yeah. That's so another analogy I've spoke to a client about recently is like learning a new language. Like it's as if your brain operates in English, but you really want to move to Japan and speak Japanese and like live in a Japanese culture. You're never going to learn Japanese by exposing your brain to more English. Even though it's more
Mm.
comfortable, it's more natural, it's easier. But if you're not taking a Japanese lesson, you know, or if you're like compensating from your Japanese class by like then running back to learn more English and try to undo the Japanese, a year's going to pass and you're going to think, I'm ready to move to Japan, but I still don't know my Japanese.
Love that. Absolutely. Yeah. That's so true, isn't it? It's such a good one because your brain is kind of trying to create those new neural pathways. And the only way to do that is to practice the Japanese, is to practice the recovery aligned way of doing things. And so this is the thing, is these tools are hopefully going to be the thing that keep like creating those new pathways because your brain needs repetition. You repeated your way into the eating disorder, so we need to repeat our way out of the eating disorder. And you might find that there's like just a handful of tools that are your tools, your things. But if you just keep repeating them, they could be the thing that's like creating those new pathways. And then we talk about the fact of not using the old pathway as well, of allowing that like what's it, snow plowed
Yeah.
pathway for the snow to be covered and allow the new one to be created and to be the new one. So, and it is incredible. I was honestly amazed in the last course how quickly people started changing behaviors.
Yeah,
Um,
agree. Some of the things people said they were able to do after years of not being able to do it. And
Mhm.
it is incredible, isn't it? The brain is amazing.
Really is. And the sessions are all recorded as well, which I think is important because sometimes you just want to review, you just want to recap and like just go over it. I think people use that bit a lot. And did we mention already that we've got two
No,
times
that I've
because
just
of
thought that was
different time zones?
probably quite a key piece of information.
Probably a key thing. Probably should have mentioned that at the start. We're so prepared. Okay, we just both got the giggles. So Meg's looking out the window, and I'm going to try and be very serious and continue on with the podcast. This is this is kind of us mid podcast going a bit crazy. So the course is going to be 8:30 and 5 o'clock Dubai time. So hopefully that will allow people from different time zones to join. So we've got people joining from so far US, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Sweden, UK. Um, yeah, I think there might even be more. But yeah, so we've got people from literally all over the world. So yeah, we're really excited to start and hopefully we really hope if you're interested, please reach out to us. There is still some time. Ask us any questions you have. Reach out to Meg or myself on Instagram or send us an email. Our contact details will all be in the show notes. And we really hope you join us.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, and now we'll move to the past participants from our last course to ask them a couple of questions about, well, for them to share really with us how they found it, what their experience was like.
Hi, thank you so much for coming on to speak about how you found the course. So you were on our first cohort, and I just wanted to find out from you how you found it. What was your experience?
I found it through Instagram, and because I'd watched Meg's videos on YouTube, and then it was her, and I looked up to her because she'd gone through it, and I knew she was out on the other side,
Yeah.
and then this course was coming up, and I was like, yes, that's what I want to do. So then I just DM'd you like almost right away saying that I wanted to be part of it.
Yeah, that's amazing. And what did you find useful about the course? Did it help you in your recovery in the way you expected?
It was exceeded my expectations by so much. I'd
Oh,
never thought it'd be that good. I got all the like we learn each Sunday you learn like these tools, and they start very like on the base, so it's not hard, and then you get assignments, so you actually have something to work on during the week until we see each other next or see the next one, and then doing the assignment and then having to send it in. That was also good because then you get feedback, and if you misunderstand you can just redo it, and I felt like you got this really personal connection without um, without seeing anybody. And like when you have it, when you're having the course or this thing each week, that no, it was a group of how many I don't know, but I never knew who the other were. It was like it
mm.
was almost directed right to me.
Oh, yeah. So did it feel quite personal in that way? Like, and was that helpful to you to not have everybody else kind of
Ex-
their faces
ex-
showing or whatever?
Exactly, because then you get so aware of how you look and what the others say, and it can be triggering. And also since it is so hard to admit that you have a problem, and then like you don't want to show it to everybody else what's actually your problem, but
Mm.
then being able to tell you, and I trusted you so much, so I felt like I got this really good connection.
Yeah, you gave so much to it, and you also were absolutely incredible. The changes that you made during the course, like we were like beyond proud of you. And I think you didn't even realize that you'd be able to achieve what you managed to in that.
No, that was the thing, and it was like
Yeah,
a totally new way of thinking,
yeah,
and it's and just that also that getting that reinforcement, or when I made a goal. We made goals each week, but when I actually succeeded in like doing it, and then getting like the appreciation, or somebody understood that this was a big thing, but it could, for somebody else, it could be like, whatever, that's nothing, but they really knew.
Yeah, yeah. I think people say that a lot, isn't it? That like the things that are big deals when you're going through an eating disorder and you're recovering, they feel so huge to us. But like to other people, they're like, what's the big deal? But I think because Meg and I have been there and we were like, this is humongous. We know how much of a big deal this is. And I think for you, like there was like the movement aspect of it as well, which I understand very well how difficult that is to break. And then Meg's just like so good as well with the food aspect. So I think you were able to draw on both, weren't you?
Exactly, and then especially the like the exercise part, like somebody who really understand it. I just during these weeks, so much happened. Like it was a start of something new for
Yeah.
me that I think I'd never do without it.
Oh,
So
no, we're just like beyond proud of you. And obviously, before you've been in treatment before, so did it feel very different to when you've been in treatment and had these kind of group sessions?
yeah, because it's never, because it's the follow up, and also that it was so action directed, or so, and I like that because I'm an athlete in the from the beginning, and I know,
Mm,
like, if you have a goal, then this is what I'm going to do to reach that goal, and then you
mm,
get help to apply it to this goal.
mm.
Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, you're
it's like,
very like structured, aren't you, in the way you like structure, you like tools, you like momentum of like having achieved and then being able to like go for another goal. So it's almost like you applied your personality skills of being somebody who's very ambitious and very like driven, rather than applying it to the eating disorder that completely hijacked those personality parts of you. You applied it to recovery, which was just so incredible to see. So incredible to see and
yeah,
continuing to see. Like you're still continuing to make progress even after the course, which is incredible.
yeah, and it's almost like it was the start of something new, and what's happened since then is beyond beyond what I would dream of. And I know now I know I'll have a long ways to go, but still this was the start of something that I never thought would be possible.
You're amazing. You're so honestly so inspiring, your bravery and your strength through all of this. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on to speak to everybody. I'm sure your words will give people so much hope and have taught them a little bit more about the course as well, if people are on the fence. So yeah, thank you so, so much.
Yeah, and then I just wanted to say that
Yeah.
um, if you don't have a coach or anything, and you want to do something, just you can't afford to have a personal coach, then doing this, because you get so many tools with it, that it's actually something um, that can help you. That might be the only thing to that you need.
Yeah,
So
true. That's
yeah.
such a good thing to say, actually, because also it's like all recorded, isn't it? So you can go back and review things as well, like if you want to.
Exactly, because it's very like these hour sessions. They are very compromised.
Like
So
comprehensive, like there's quite a lot in them, yeah? Is
yeah,
that what you
yeah.
mean?
So
Yeah,
so you need to, because it's hard to absorb everything right away.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's good to be able to revisit and review. And like you said, it is a good option for people where working with the coach or whatever is not an option for you right now. So that's such a good point.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, and it's totally different from being like impatient or something.
Yeah, because I think
So
you're choosing it. I think that's the thing.
exactly, and that inspires you to reach higher and higher, and without having the pressure. It's like you never put the pressure on me, and
Mm,
that was very good, because since if you're a high achiever and then you feel the pressure and you can't live up to it,
mm,
but then actually bringing you back down and say, this goal is it's probably a little too big to start with.
Yeah.
So,
You were quite ambitious, eh? Straight from the get-go, which is so admirable. But yeah, sometimes it's like, and that's such a good point, isn't it? Because sometimes some people like make such huge goals and it's like, that's awesome, but let's make it a little bit more realistic so it's achievable and we will build up to that. And that's yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a star. Thank you so much for being on. And yeah, that was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much for joining us and for doing the course back in May. I would love to hear how you found the course and if there's anything you particularly liked about it.
Yeah, um, I think what I loved most about the course was that it was very practical. And that whilst we were like practicing and learning about different tools, they were all in order to support us to make actual change and take recovery aligned actions. Um, and I think like they were drip fed over the course of the month, and I feel like that gave us time to like practice the tool, try them out, see whether they worked for us. And then I also think like the format of the sort of educational formal session and then the more informal question answer session really helped me sort of stay focused throughout the whole week, because one of my patterns is that I'll have a session and then I'll feel really motivated and ready, and then a few days after I'll sort of drift. So that was a great anchor point throughout the week. So yeah, those were the two parts that really stood out to me.
That's good. I totally get what you're saying as well. Like you can have all this motivation and then you actually go to do it and then you're like, oh, that's all gone.
Yeah. So I think it definitely like gave me that motivation twice in the week rather than just
Okay.
once, which I really liked.
Did you find the tools help with that as well? Like it helped you in the moment to think like, how am I doing this differently? Or like to practice different ways of doing it so you don't just go into a moment, act automatically, and then you're like, oh crap, I just did my eating disorder again. Like, did it help you
Yeah.
with different ways of doing things?
Yeah, I think like having different tools that we were like to try out each week meant that I was like consciously always trying to do something rather than just falling into like old habits and behavioral patterns. So that was really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. And were there tools in particular that you liked?
Yeah, I think I loved one that was sort of the sound bites.
Uh-huh.
Um, Something like really short and really snappy that I could say to myself or that I could think and that would sort of keep me connected to my goals. I still use them now, so they obviously are something that's stuck. And then the other tool that I think I probably resonated with most, that was maybe a bit of a surprise to me, was there was one on like creating visuals and analogies.
Mm.
It turns out that I'm quite a visual person, which I did not know. And it was actually one that Meg, yourself, and I created on a call when we were together, which was the eating disorder barista, which I think you might have spoken about on the podcast before.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned it.
Yeah, I found that so helpful because it injected a bit of humor, but it stuck with me. And so when I make food decisions now, I'm constantly thinking I don't want to act in line with that. I don't envisage myself being in such a boundaried way. And I would never, if I saw a barista acting in that way and asking those questions, I would be like, whoa, this is not okay. So I kind of apply that now. So I find that really, really
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah, because like when it's all in your own head, you kind of get caught up in it, don't you? And it feels really real. And of course, this is what I have to do today. And if I did that yesterday, if I weigh this, then this has to happen. But when you actually sound it out and apply it to like somewhere else in the world or onto somebody else or into a like professional setting, you're like, oh my God, if anyone spoke like that, you would just be like, that's ridiculous. But it's literally what's going around in your brain all day.
Yeah, it's like I remember when we were talking about it, even I was like exhausting myself by being like, and you can have this if you've eaten this at this time, but if you've weighed this, but if you're doing this later, and it was like all these things. And I think then that's how we sort of organically, or it was mainly you, that came up with this Starbucks barista analogy,
Yeah.
which is always great.
I think we're
So
just like making a laugh of it as well. Like sometimes that's helpful as well, a bit of humor and just to like break it and be like, whoa, actually like step back from this. What is this that's going on in
yeah,
my brain?
because
Like it's not okay.
otherwise I feel like recovery can be like really heavy and hard, and sometimes just injecting that bit of humor that's like laughing about it, but not laughing at yourself kind of
Yeah.
thing was really, really, yeah, it was really
Yeah.
helpful.
No, I love that. And the sound bites as well, I think are good because sometimes in the moment it is so overwhelming and it's hard to tap into like, this is why I want to do it, or this is a motivation, or anything, like these are my goals. And if you're that offline, it's helpful to just be like something really short and snappy, and then you're like, okay, just do it, just do it, just do it, rather than like trying to come up with elaborate reasons why or anything like that.
Yeah, I think like prior to the course, I'd probably always tried to like come up with and rationalize every single thought I had. And then I would take the action. And it's like I would rationalize one thought and then I would get another one, and then I would rationalize that, and then I would get another one. And eventually got to the point where it was just like these thoughts are never gonna just stop. At
Hmm.
some point you have to just take the action. And that was really focused on in the course, which I thought was great. Obviously there were other tools that were helpful, like the flipping the quads one.
Hmm.
Um, which are a bit more like sit down and write and
Yeah.
think about your goals.
Yeah.
And I do find that helpful as well, but just in different contexts.
Yeah, I guess it's like different people all take to different tools, and even like one person, what works for them on one day in one situation might be different to another day. Like if you're under a lot of stress, maybe a soundbite works better, but if you've got a bit more time to think about it, then maybe like a writing out lists, the quads, flip the quads, dialoguing, something like that is more helpful. But I guess like when you're like practicing the tools, even like we obviously now do coaching together, so I guess it helps you to keep that momentum like week on week on week, but that really like
Yeah,
getting into the routine of the tool, practicing it, knowing how it works for you, like tweaking it, that kind of thing. Like,
yeah. I
yeah.
think the tweaking it is really helpful as well because, for example, like the flipping the quads one as an example now, like I have a holiday coming up, and so I can use that to look at kind of why do I want to take action on holiday, and not, why do I not want to not take the action? Honestly,
It is
it's a bit of a
confusing.
like
It's a
once you get your
complicated
mind
one.
around it, you're like sorted. But it's like tools like that you can kind of like use in different scenarios. So like a holiday or like Christmas or a birthday, or it can just be like, how do I want to feel in a year's time? And you can always kind of personalize it, which I thought was great too. So I
Yeah.
use a lot of them now, clearly still.
Yeah, well, we
Yeah.
even do it over WhatsApp together, don't we? You like WhatsApp me these kind of lists, or I'll send you prompts and then you'll send me the thing back. But sometimes I think just to like break that like thinking pattern that your head's got into and like zoom out a little bit, reconnect to like, wait, why do I not want to do this? Why would I not want a Starbucks barista to be saying this to their clients? Client.
Yeah, because in the moment you can sometimes just, if you don't vocalize it to someone else, it can almost just like you can rationalize it to yourself in some weird way, or your eating disorder will come up with some reason why it's actually okay and it's fine.
Yeah.
And so it can also be really helpful to have someone to sort of practice them with, whether it's like in a professional context or a
Def-
family member, friend, or whatever.
yeah.
And that was the other thing about the course, actually. It was like a group format, but it wasn't, in the sense of like we never had cameras on, we didn't know the other participants. Um, but it was still helpful. For example, the question answer session, like we would hear the questions that other people had, and sometimes I heard a question and I was like, I had that question too. It's just that I wasn't able to find the words to
Mm,
express it. And it kind of made you feel less alone in your worries or your fears or your doubts. But it was done in such a safe way that
that's good.
you were never in direct contact with each other, which I think was really, really good.
Okay, that's good. That's nice to hear because it's definitely like it was a big concern for us doing anything with a group. So it's nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Like, so nice to see you again, and really appreciate you taking the time to come and share that with us.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Hi, Em. Thank you for joining us. So you came on the Recovery and Action course, the first
Did.
one. So we just wanted to ask from you, like, how you found it, and so that you can just kind of maybe share your experiences for people who are listening.
Yeah, so I mean, I've obviously worked with Yusufir for quite some time now, so I had the luxury, I guess, of foresight. I knew a little bit about what was kind of covered in the course, and that it was going to be mainly practical tools, and that really appealed to me anyway because I like things that I can see have a tangible impact kind of in my day to day. So I often say like I I try and think myself better, but I'm not very good at the doing. And so this is very much about the doing. And I think picking up on the kind of tools that we were going through in the workshop and like utilizing them in sessions like really enhanced my existing coaching. And then I was able to take things that we were doing and talking through in coaching and kind of use it and be like, oh yeah, no, I remember Sophia saying something like that in the course, and they just kind of
Mm.
complemented each other really in a lovely way. So it was really helpful, and really practical, which is yeah, something I like.
That's amazing. That's good. And did you find anything with the goal setting part of it helpful and being able to kind of like reach out?
Yeah, so I'm a big goal person. I like to have, I think it's the type A personality in me, or the perfectionist maybe, but I love having goals, clear set goals, and being able to have that accountability and then revisit that each week with like a different tool, kind of like through a different lens, depending on which tool we'd explored that week, was so helpful. And it just gave like a real direction and a structure to my recovery, because it can feel so overwhelming with all of these different strands, and I fall into spirals of having 101 different things and then not knowing where to start and then not doing any of it. So having that kind of accountability revisited week on week was really useful.
Amazing. And I think one of the parts of the course that you found really helpful because of like the way that your brain kind of works was like the analogies and the
Oh, I
metaphors
love
and
an
stuff.
analogy.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that most people who follow Meg kind of like that kind of way of thinking because that's very much in your videos, isn't it, Meg? The kind of like the analogies and metaphors. So, and like one thing that Meg and I have spoken about is the fact that often in a coaching session, somebody will come up with their own kind of analogy or metaphor that is like, we're like, wow, that's a brilliant one that so many people would find helpful. And that is something that happens time and time again in our sessions. And I did think that whilst you're on here giving the testimonial, I thought it'd be really nice for you to be able to share something that we spoke about just this week in session, which we were speaking about just before we came on this with you, was this concept of like online, offline, because when you're in the moment and you're trying to challenge something, those stress levels are so high and it feels very hard to connect to why you ever committed to recovery in the first place. And so you came up with this great analogy and I thought maybe you could share that. No
Right.
pressure.
Let's see if I can do this justice, and you're gonna have to stop me if I go off on one. But it
No.
was it was something you said, Sophia, in that coaching session, the joint one. You mentioned, I think, being offline or online, and that really sparked a kind of analogy stroke metaphor for me. I kind of compare when, like, in the moment when the eating disorder thoughts are really, really loud and anorexia makes it impossible for me, at least, to connect to the future or remember the past or anything. I kind of feel offline. It's a similar, that awful, the floor's gone out beneath you, disassociated state that you kind of enter. Like when you lose Wi-Fi connection, and maybe this is just a reflection on me and how reliant I am on devices and screens, but
As we all
it's
are.
complete, like just this feeling like I'm cut off. I can't remember anything. I can't think. I can't connect or zoom out. And so kind of saying like, okay, in this moment, I'm offline. I'm disconnected for whatever reason from my Wi-Fi. My brain Wi-Fi is down and I can't make decisions in the now. So I have to kind of borrow perspective from elsewhere. And this is where the kind of analogy took form. Like I can either plug into future me and ask, as Meg, you've often said, like, what would 30-year-old me want? Or I don't want to do this now, but I'm acting in a way that my future self might thank me for. So if I can connect to my kind of goals and future why, that's one way of rebooting the system. Or I could, talking of booting up, like boot up my past self, and remember the commitment I made when I was in a clearer minded headspace, or even like the younger version of me who just like lived for food freedom and didn't experience the kind of difficulties or didn't see this kind of life for myself that I'm currently living. Or I suppose like connecting to an external source. So if I can't get online in the moment, kind of plugging into you, a coach, or my mum, who's a wonderful support, or even just like a Meg video or
Yes.
anything, like finding an external source separate from me in that moment. That's another kind of way to get back online, and
Yeah.
just making that commitment to myself in the moment that I'm not going to act whilst offline because I don't have the foresight perspective. I'm not zoomed out enough to make a rational recovery aligned decision. I hope that made some kind of sense. It does in my brain, but my
It makes
brain's a bit wild.
I love it, love it, love it as an analogy. And also the use of, like we've spoken about it, about the tools, people take them and use them, how it works for them. So if time hopping forward isn't as effective for you, being able to time hop backwards or like time hop sideways to another person, like just finding like, how is this best for me? Like, actually, that's not the right way, but I found when I do this, it's much more effective, especially if my stress levels are super high. So I think it's absolutely like offline, online just makes so much sense to me. I think it's brilliant.
Me
And
too.
you're so right talking about tools being different for each person, but also each person in specific scenarios. Like I've found dialoguing really helpful when I'm not in the moment, when I've got the kind of luxury of time, or I'm able to bounce back and forth with Sophia. Whereas in the moment, I'm not at my most articulate. I'm not able to kind of even rationalize like the most basic things. So having take fives, just listing in a really, like you said, Meg, I think on the back of a piece of scrap paper even, or just sometimes out and out distraction, or just trying to like, yeah, turn to my distraction tools, which was something else I think you explored. It was one of them in the toolkit, building a distraction box.
It was because we're talking about like not just making changes, but how do you sit with the discomfort of it? And like making the change is one thing, but sitting with it is another, you know, and your brain's then screaming at you to undo it elsewhere, or just even just that level of discomfort that feels like you want to rip your own skin off. Like, how do you get through those moments, kind of thing? I think we spoke about it in relation to that.
Definitely.
Anything else you want to say about how you found it, or
I mean, this is something Sophia said earlier, like speaking for me, speaking to people who've recovered and gone through it is huge. Maybe it's because I've been unwell for quite a long time. I think I'm maybe a bit cynical of sometimes like having or kind of hearing the kind of typical therapeutic sound bites, and it's very hard when you're just reading something on a page to feel connected. And so having it from the horse's mouth, like literally hearing it from people who've been through it, and knowing that that discomfort, that level, that skin ripping, crawling, awful experience, like it can't last forever, because otherwise no one would recover. Like you and Sophia wouldn't exist as coaches, because you would still be in that awful position now. So the fact that you're there giving this kind of, this is a bit meta, but like having the course in and of itself is a motivator and a tool really. Just yeah, in the moment.
that's so nice. It's really nice to like think about ways to build community, but in a safe way that doesn't like end up in like comparison or triggers, or, you know, like it's so tricky with eating disorders and in the recovery field to have that, the balance of like, how do you meet people but in a safe way? And yeah.
I really like that in the course. I think not having, because you were so considerate, like not having even like cameras on in the moment. So I still felt like I was in a room full of people, which was yeah, quite surreal. But for me, I am really kind of driven by the competitive, comparative aspect, and that's why like I've found kind of hospital settings so difficult in the past. So yeah, just having like knowing I was in a room in a community, but without the additions of being like, oh, but that person looks like this, or this person mentioned this, and knowing that we've got you two as kind of filters, almost like you bring in the stuff that's useful, and you maybe kind of shield us as people who are in more vulnerable positions, like from potential triggers. I found that incredibly helpful, and yeah, I wanted to say thank you, because I know that's something that you considered when you were creating the course.
That's so good to hear. And I guess just for each person, like, where are you at and what would be meaningful for you to change, kind of thing? And like, how do you make that change in your life? Like, that's all it's about, really. Like, that's what the focus is on. So I guess, how do you keep it like a space that's focused on recovery? And that's the, what's the word for like inspiration? What's the word for that? That's the like focus of it, versus like, it's so quick for your eating disorder to jump on like a comment or a look or a number or an anything. So it is a complicated space.
It is. It's
Well,
very
you both navigate it really well. So as someone who's been through it, like you passed every test insofar as like no triggers at all for me anyway. I didn't experience anything like that. It was
Brilliant.
just
Great.
positive.
amazing. Oh, thank you so much, Em. It's been so great to hear your thoughts on it. And you were honestly such a fantastic person to be on the course and continue to coach. So I'm sure so many people are going to find that helpful, what you said.
Thank you
Thank
so much,
you.
Em. Oh, so nice to speak to people from the course from last time. It's really, really nice to like stay in touch and get to catch up with them, hear how they found it as well. It's amazing and really helpful for us as well to know like what's helpful for people and keep that personalized element, keep it like a safe space. Yeah, supportive, actions focused, that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we really do want it to be an incredible experience for everybody who joins and it to be something that really powers up their recovery so they can continue on and feel really motivated, strong, have all the tools ready to use at their fingertips. So yeah, we hope we hear from you. Cut.
It's
Cut.
8:30 a.m. at 5
Could
p.m.
you start again?
I've sometimes said Wednesday as well. I'm like, quickly edit. Oh my God.
Just any day you want. Just come talk to us. Sorry, can you say
May
that
or may
again?
not be there.
We may. We're going to just cut all of that. I'm actually going to cut it.
It can go in the outtakes.
So the course is. Okay. Okay, no. Okay, I'm going to think about something serious. Okay. Yes, so we probably should have mentioned this at the start. Okay, I could do it. I promise. I could do it. Okay. I'm not going to look at you.
Okay.
Okay. I think you should say it. So, okay, I know. I can do it. You look out the window. I'm going to look straight.
We've had to just edit or load out because we just got the giggles. So sorry for me.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
It's looking out the window.
Okay. I'm going to say that.